Hey there, welcome to AP Calculus BC with your teacher, Mr. Kadera, right here. It's nice to see you, sort of. You can see my face and my face without a mask, and this will probably be one of the few times you're going to be able to do that in the next 2 weeks at least. Hopefully we start distance or hybrid learning on the 28th, and I hope to see you all there for that time. Other than that, the videos that I'll produce and even the live streaming that I do, I imagine that I'm probably going to take up the whole screen just so we have more real estate. So, hey, this is my face. This is what I look like. The purpose of this video today is just to give you a slight introduction to me and a pretty in-depth introduction to the course so that we're all set up and ready to go tomorrow. We will have a little housekeeping to do today. I won't say it's homework, but a little bit of housekeeping to do. First, a little bit about me. This is me on my mountain bike. Cycling has always been a pretty big part of my life, so I do that a lot. I ride mostly on dirt these days, but I have gone on pavement before. This is my girlfriend right here. She looks very happy after having installed a fence post on the horse farm that she rents time at. And these are our two dogs. One is a greyhound. We rescued her last February, yep, right as all this COVID was taken off. We adopted her. She's a former racer. She's about 3 years old now. This is Rally. She's a whippet, which is basically a small greyhound. She's also very fast. And this is when she was a puppy about 6 months old and had just eaten a purple pen. In terms of me, my professional life, this is my 11th year teaching in all. I started out at Brooklyn Middle School, so I've been in the Osseo School District the whole time. Went to Osseo Middle School after that, and I think this is now my 5th or 6th year, I honestly don't know, at Maple Grove Senior High. I'm dual licensed in math and chemistry, so if you have any chemistry or physics questions or just generally science, that's totally my wheelhouse, and I'm very excited to talk about those things if you ever get off subject a little bit. This year I am teaching one section of freshman nonlinear. I'm teaching one section of geometry, and I'm teaching 3 sections of AP Calculus BC, and I'm the only teacher doing it. So, given that I only have one section of each, BC is definitely my focus, and this is my first time teaching BC. I have taught AB twice before. BC is basically just AB, a little bit faster, and it's got a little bit more material there at the end. That's basically the only difference. I had a ton of fun teaching AP Calc the first time. I wasn't given an opportunity in the last 2 years, but that's changed this year, so I get a full load of BC Calc students. I'm very excited to meet you all. Hopefully that can be done soon. What'd you do this summer? Well, I had 2 major summer projects. One was take my basement and make it not crappy anymore. So I had a basement that was just a wreck. It had, mold and flood damage and holes in the wall and electrical issues and all that fun stuff. So this is about halfway done right there, and this is almost all the way done. That's everything done except flooring right there and an outlet cover. My goodness, how did I miss that one? The second thing that I did was I salvaged a whole bunch of wood, and that wood came from, I don't know if you've ever heard of or been to the Blaine Velodrome in Blaine, obviously, and in Blaine, Minnesota, and they tore it down this year because it never made money, and it was a wooden track that was actually made out of a pretty, from a woodworker's perspective, it's called a hardwood, which just means it's good for doing woodworking with, and this particular species is called Afzalia, which is not very common to find. It's kind of like lacewood. It has kind of a grain pattern, kind of like fish scales. Of course, it's in a little bit of rough shape, so I went over there with an SUV and grabbed 3 or 4 loads. I don't remember, but you see it all comes in 1 by 1.5 inch strips, and you can see all the nails that are thrown in there, and there's at least 1 nail per linear foot there, and you can imagine if I did 4 loads of that I've got, I think I just finished doing the last nail yesterday after about 40 to 45 hours of work just pulling nails and getting things sanded, ready to go. But the other part of that was that I bought and tried to organize a woodworking shop. So I'm about to ready to start my first project using this wood. So I'm very excited about that. I hope to figure out what you all did during the summer. If we have time at some point, I hope to have individual conversations with all of you as soon as we can meet face to face, or just, whenever, office hours on Friday, noon to 2, I believe. It would be a good time to do that too. Contact information real quick. Obviously email is going to be the big one. I do have a voicemail. that is linked to email actually. So, but email Kadera A. So there's another A at the end of Kadera. That's for my first name. My first name is Aaron. That's not a typo. So Kadera A at district279.org. When we meet in person, we'll do so in room 160. It's the open area in the first family on the right as you approach the main two hallways, say from the cafeteria. Resources, we're going to talk a lot about resources today. Okay, so one is I have a public website, and it looks a little bit something like that. It's separated by subject area that I teach, and we have a Calc BC page all to ourselves. I'll show you what that looks like more so in depth later. I have a YouTube channel, which looks like this. That's where I'm going to be posting all the videos, including this one that I create, though I will be stealing a lot of material from the AP board directly. As you can imagine, with 5 lessons per day on in a class where everything's new, creating 5 instructional lessons at least per week is probably not feasible. I'm going to try to do as many as I can, but I'm going to have to steal material from the AP site eventually. I think this week it's all me, but we'll see what happens next week. Let's see. Okay, so we have a Schoology. We also had a summer course. If you haven't been to the summer course website, there was an assignment over the summer. Don't freak out about it. If you didn't do it, it's not a big deal, but we do want to get that taken care of tonight or tomorrow or Wednesday, somewhere in that range, because we want to have a good basis for what we're about to do. And then the third thing that you're going to learn a lot about is this thing called AP Classroom. You're going to go in there and create an account today on AP Classroom just so you have access to all the AP board materials. In general, well, let's take a look at, that's kind of what Schoology is going to look like. In the page there's going to be weeks, and then within each week there's going to be a day, and within each day we're going to see a whole bunch of stuff, and I'll show you a little bit more of that in detail later. Big announcement right here. We do actually need a physical textbook for this course eventually. That's kind of why I've been creating everything for the first week. So first week's all standalone. It's all worksheets. It's all my creation. But textbook distribution is tomorrow, Tuesday night. Well, if you're watching this on the 14th, of course. Tuesday, the 15th, and it runs from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You need to know your ID number or bring your past ID or something of that sort, and you're looking for Larson 8th edition right there. So you do need a textbook. We'll start working out of that in week 2 at the very least, or at the very soonest, okay? Here is what our website looks like, and this is old news. It's already been updated, and this slide is out of date already. But basically the idea is to run more or less a flipped classroom format. That's so that when and if we need to transfer to the hybrid learning style, we can do so pretty seamlessly, at least for the first onset of hybrid learning. After that, I'll play around with the possibilities that exist within hybrid learning, and hopefully we can get a little bit more personalized education experience here. I'm really looking forward to that part. I really hate speaking to a screen all this time without seeing all of your reactions. Anyway, but you'll see that not only will Schoology be broken down by day, but also on our website we'll have by day. You can see each lesson, each assignment, each video. If I have a note guide, I'll throw it up there, but I'm going to assume that you guys are pretty good with notes. And that's basically it. Watch a video, do some practice, take notes, and kind of repeat that process every day. And within live teaching structures or office hours or any time that I'm available in my Google Meet, and I'll try to be available today and tomorrow, in addition to our scheduled live teaching sessions, you can just grab me at my Google link anytime. At the top of the website, there is the link to the Google Meet right there, and right above it, you'll see a schedule not only of everything that you're doing all the time, but also just a live teaching schedule, which days you're expected to be in class at the time that class would normally occur during a 6-period day, and all that information is on that document. But you show up for that, and you can watch me scribble on my iPad as if you were watching me scribble on a whiteboard. Should be fairly interesting. I'm sure I'll have some technical issues, and you'll all laugh at me. It'll be great. Meanwhile, on Schoology, this is how Schoology is oriented. One big thing you got to do every day is you have to take your own attendance. So this is a link to a Google form. It'll be listed at the top of the page. At least for the first week, I'm going to put it in every single day. I think after the first week, we'll all get in the habit of doing that. So I'm just going to post that link indefinitely up at the top of the Schoology page, outside of any folder, just right on the top of your main page. Just make sure to do that every single day, and that records your attendance for the day. Inside of every day, you'll see a checklist of things to do. You'll give a link to any videos that we need, a link to any assignments that you have, any note guides, and then there will probably be something like this. See that green puzzle piece right there? That is a graded formative or summative assignment, whichever I choose. There'll be something to do, I don't know if every day, but most days. Just a little check-in. What did you learn today? That's mostly what I'm concerned myself about there. The attendance form looks like this. It's very simple. All you have to do is put in your last name as it appears on my roster, your first name as it appears on my roster, and select your class period. You'll notice that there's no space for a date, which is kind of a weird thing, but that's where the man comes in. The man is watching you here. So whenever you fill out this form, you get a timestamp down to the second, and your email address is also recorded. So just be aware of those two things, and be aware that I'm only using one form all year for all my classes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for responses for any given day, say today. So I'm going to go onto the spreadsheet and I'm going to look for responses that were produced during the 14th of September. And if your name's not in that spot, then you will not be counted as present for that day when I record attendance at 7:30 the following morning. So do be careful with this. You got to get it in before 11:59 because a computer doesn't say, oh, well, they hit it at 12:01, and that's sort of kind of like yesterday, even though it's technically today. You got to get it in by 11:59, and that's what we're going by. So make sure you do your time or your attendance each day that you check in with class, and you do have to check in each day for each hour, if that hasn't become apparent from listening to all your teachers ramble on today. Okay, let's take a look at the syllabus. Let's just take a quick look at the syllabus, what the course is about. Calculus is really fun. Calculus is the conclusion of a story that we started teaching you as soon as you started learning math. It kind of gives you a sense of closure by the end of it. Beyond this, even in higher level math, there's some cool stuff to do, but the basic operations of what you do during math are fully explored here to their entirety. So once you know calculus, you are able to jump in any direction of mathematics that you're interested in. So it's a really cool course. And what it is, the big deal is it is the examination of change. If I could sum it up in 3 words, it is the examination of change. So we're going to look at how functions behave and specifically how quickly or slowly they change. So we're obviously dealing with variable change, so constant functions aren't as interesting within calculus. We're going to look at curvy stuff, in other words, and we're just going to beat that beat that to death, basically. Now, here's the cool part. In order to do this, we got to talk about infinity and infinitesimals. That's stuff that's infinitesimally small. And that's an interesting and new way of thinking to you. So we haven't really talked about infinity very much in your previous math courses. So that's the fun part. Using that, we're going to talk about a thing called limits, differentiation, integration, and the behavior of series. There's basically 4 big ideas as laid out by the AP board. Actually, the AP board only does the first 3, but BC has its own separate, 5 or 6 weeks after the AB course curriculum ends. So the 4 big ideas are looking at change, looking at limits, looking at basically being able to analyze functions, and looking at the behavior of series. These are the 10 chapter tests that we'll be doing. That means that you're probably getting a test every 2 to 3 weeks. If I place a bet right now, I'm going to bet that we are going to successfully integrate to hybrid style learning on the 28th. And that just so happens to align perfectly with your very first test. So our very first in-person meeting might just be a paper pencil test. And I apologize for that. But the day after that, your second day that you come see me that week, we will be much more personable, I promise. And we'll learn more about each other. Otherwise, you definitely need a graphing calculator. AP Board is actually going to look at your ability to be able to use a graphing calculator, so that's pretty important. We're going to use the 8th edition of Larson. If you want buying advice on calculators, if you don't have one yet, there's a whole bunch of information about calculators. I imagine most of you have one already or have purchased one for this course. We're going to do 90-10 summative to formative. So formative grade's going to be worth 10%. So tests are going to be worth 90, or anything that I feel like is a final evaluation of your knowledge. Maybe some FRQs or something like that are given will be counted as summative as well. Reassessments, here's the deal. Do as best you can to prepare for the original assessment and do your best, okay? If something goes wrong, then we want to correct that, so I'm going to make sure you know what you need to figure out. I'm going to ask you to fix it. I'm going to say, how did you fix it? And we're going to make sure that you fixed it by giving you just a little, couple practice problems to make sure you're good on the idea. And once that's done, then we want to make some predictions about what you expect on the reassessment and just have a little conference with me. The conference with me, if you're all prepared, you've fixed the problem, you've done a couple practice problems to get yourself further prepared. If you've done all that, that conference with me takes literally a minute, and I'm just going to ask you some questions to make sure that you're reassessment ready. That's how reassessments go, and we'll figure out some time and some means to do a reassessment depending on what type of class structure we're dealing with. This stuff, just, be on time. Time's going to be very valuable to us this year in person. Otherwise pretty straightforward. Let's go back to this little guy right here, and let's talk about access codes and things to do today. Okay, so these are things that we want to do to get you prepared to learn tomorrow. So, firstly, you should go onto a website, and you can do this right now if you want to. There's an access code for AP Classroom. There they are right there. If you're in period 2, use that code. If you're in period 4, use that code. And if you're in period 6, use that code. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through how to do AP Classroom right here in just a moment. The other thing that hopefully you are aware of, and I see that many of you have been doing this work, there was actually an assignment over the summer, a summer calculus packet, and there is a summer course to go along with that if you want to join that Schoology course. Just to get access to those materials. They're also on the website, but there's the access code for the summer Schoology course. Okay, let's talk about the big one, the AP Classroom account. You do want to do this. I'm going to assign you videos that you won't have access to unless you create an account. Okay, so search AP Classroom on Google. It'll give you a link, and then it'll say, hey, do you have an account? Create one if you don't. And then you're going to fill out some pretty darn personal information, not just the basics, what's your email address and this. They're kind of paranoid about cheating and academic, hooliganism, whatever you want to call it. So they ask you way too many questions, in my opinion. But eventually you get to a thing that says, join a course or exam. Just follow the prompts to AP Classroom. Keep going. The AP website is a bit of a mess. You tend to get distracted when you're on there. Just laser focus. You're joining AP Classroom, you're creating an account for AP Classroom, and then eventually you'll have a spot where it says join a course or exam, and then you're going to enter a join code that it just gave you, and you're going to enter even more personal information, believe it or not, and then you're going to come up to a home screen that looks like this. This is how you know you're done. You're going to be able to see daily videos for the entire unit 1. And these are the videos that I'll be stealing if I need to, if I just run out of time and can't produce an instructional video. All right, next up, that's AP Classroom. So if you can do that right now, today, or do that sometime today, that would be great. Here's what our calendar looks like for the first month. This calendar is up on our website under live instruction times, and you can see these green areas. These are all where I'm available through Google Meet. And this is what our first chapter looks like. You can see when we start hybrid learning, that's right where our first test is. I'm not super pleased about that, but that's the way it's going to go. And the first 2 things that we are going to do, and specifically for tomorrow, we're going to start working with function transformations and compositions. So we're actually doing a little bit of pre-calc before we jump into this. So in part 3 of the summer packet, there was just a matching of parent functions. Do you know what all the parent functions look like? Do you know all your graph shapes and what equations go with what shape? That's what I'd like you to either review. I can see on Schoology that many of us did it. So just review that information. There is a video up on the website that can review that information with you if you'd like. If you haven't done part 3 of the summer packet, I would like you to do that matching, at least that matching of the parent functions. And again, you can use that 16-minute video that's posted on the website to do that. So that's your assignment today, along with getting checked in with AP Classroom. And there's one more little thing to deal with that I'll talk about in just a moment. But then on Tuesday, we're going to do function transformations and compositions. We're going to do piecewise functions on Wednesday. So those are both pre-calculus topics technically. And then we are going to jump right into it. So then we're going to talk about limits, and that's where the calculus starts happening. So it's very exciting getting us to Thursday. And on Wednesday, we're going to do a live instruction. So whatever time you would normally go to class, you're going to pick up our Google Meet right there. And on this PDF that's available on the website, and there's our Google Meet link. It's always going to be the same code. I'm going to try to keep that same code all year. So I've tried to put that code in as many places as I can, so you'll never have a problem finding it. So that's it. All right, so here's a complete list of your day one tasks. Here's what I want you to do. Okay, so I want you to create an AP Classroom account. That's very important. Doesn't have to be done today, but it's got to be done by Thursday because I might use a video from there. And if you don't have an account, you won't have access to the video and you won't learn anything. It's no fun. All right, go to my Kadera Math website, link on Schoology. Go to my Kadera Math YouTube channel, link on Schoology. Get a textbook tomorrow, somewhere at the Media Center between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Get that done. If you miss that time, I'm not sure how that is going to work because I'm not going to be in the building. Hopefully there's going to be a few extra left over in the Media Center and they can just handle it on a different day. But I'm not sure about that. I don't know how it's going to work. So just email me if that's an issue. Complete the website check-in form. So on my website, there's a check-in form that says website check-in form. Go complete that. I just wanted to make sure that you and your parent have read the syllabus, understand what the expectations are, and just give me a little more information about you, like, say, your preferred name, if it differs from your roster name, stuff like that. That's all it is. It's meant to be done with a parent. If you don't have a parent available to do that with you, no big deal. Just do it on your own and sign for them, sign their name for them. And then just make sure you assure you have the required course materials. And I would add to that, take a moment and make sure that your workspace is organized and ready to go. It's maybe been a while. Clear everything off, clean things, organize things, and just get yourself ready to learn. And then lastly, I want you to have a good idea of the shape, the location, and the general whereabouts of all the parent functions that are in this 16-minute video that were also represented in the summer packet in part 3. So if you haven't completed part 3 of the summer packet, do that hopefully tonight. Just the matching part of the parent functions is just one page. And if you're having trouble with that, or if there's functions on there that you've never heard of or seen, check out the video. It'll go over it and talk about their behavior a little bit. But it's important that we know their behavior and their shape and location before we start things on Tuesday. I think that is all the information that I needed to tell you. With that, have a good day.